What time did you decide that you could rule out a cyber attack?
We knew it was not a distributed denial of service attack quite early, but we wanted to make sure that there wasn't ongoing traffic being fed into our network. So at about 10:20, we let Kelly and the team know that we're pretty confident it wasn't, because we had understood by then that the routers had reached this limit for another reason.
Was that a concern for you as soon as you realised that this wasn't a cyber attack, that this was a problem of Optus's making?
Yeah, well, regardless, it's a problem of Optus's making. And but we did really want to understand if it was malicious or cyber and the ongoing threat that could pose. And there were some strange coincidences that made us quite worried about that. For example, when we had the cyber incident was the last time the Singtel board was in town, and they were in town again. So that
is a weird coincidence, isn't it?
Very strange as a coincidence. And so whilst they'd ruled out the denial of service attack as one technical type of cyber attack, there were other vectors of cyber malicious activity and a threat intelligence that we were chasing down. And it took the team until 10:20 to be able to confirm that. But it was a very serious concern for us in those hours up until 10:20.
So can I just want to go back to the beginning of your morning. You woke up, your phone wasn't working. So you knew something was going on. Many Australians did the same thing. Woke up, went to look at their phone wasn't working. But of course, you're the boss of Optus, so you knew something really wasn't working. You get in the car, you try and access data, make an internet call, voice call.
Yeah.
And that's not working. What kind of backup does Optus have to make sure when your own system goes down, you can still communicate?
We do have a process of key people having backup SIMs. And one of the learnings that we're taking from this incident is that while we have that process, the way that we allowed that to happen could have been improved. And what I mean by that is, for example, I had a backup physical SIM, which meant to activate it, I would have had to take action. Some of our people had eSIMs as their backup, and so it switched more automatically. That's clearly a better practice. And so rather than just insisting on a backup SIM, we're now going to be much more emphatic about the manner in which those backup SIMs are implemented.
So when you're in the middle of this crisis meeting, I'm just trying to envisage this. You're the second largest communications company in the country, and you couldn't communicate. But some of your people have the ability to switch SIMs. You've got a backup SIM, either an eSIM or a physical SIM. Most Australians don't have that.
That's right.
Oh, you had insurance for yourselves, but your customers didn't. Do you think that's a problem?
It is our intention to give our customers continuous connectivity and to give them a network that they can rely on 24/7, 365 days a year. We do everything we can to prevent these types of outages. We have multiple layers of redundancy, both geographical redundancy, physical redundancy, power redundancy. It is highly, highly unusual for all of the different networks which are segregated to be down at the same time.
You made some comments around the fact that you've been criticised for not speaking earlier. You mentioned that you wanted to make sure your team was okay, dealing with all of those urgent issues that you were confronted with. Did you not think that you could delegate that communication to your customers to somebody else?
Thanks, Chair, for the question. I think that's actually a very important question. Communications was delegated to the team. It's actually unusual for a CEO to appear at all during an outage because the public would expect that my focus is on working with the teams to resolve the issue. So our communications team, as per the timeline we've provided you, was giving updates to the media, fielding questions, and the team had the view at the time that this was being covered widely and all our customers knew what we knew, which is that the network was down, we were working on it, and we were very sorry. Now, I appreciate that the team did what they could with the information they had and the channels available. And yes, there's more that we could have done.
At what point did you call your legal team?
Our legal team is a standing part of our crisis team, so they were in the 7:45 meeting that was called.
So at 7:45, the lawyers were in the room?
It's one person, our Chief Legal Counsel, who's part of our crisis response team.
Was part of that legal advice for Optus not to speak too quickly?
I do not believe we got any legal advice in that meeting. That first crisis meeting was very much focused on the actions we could take to restore the network and reassure our customers during the day.
Were you given any advice throughout the day as to how to structure the apology and the concerns being raised by customers?
Chair, I'm not sure what you mean by advice, but we work together very tightly as a team in a crisis.
Were you given advice from your legal team to not admit fault?
I was not given such advice.
Were you given advice from your legal team that to be careful with what you said in case of compensation?
Chair, I was given no advice by my legal team to say or not say anything, and all the interviews I did, I was not on a script. I'm the CEO, I'm accountable. I took that accountability and I said what I believed was right.
I might go to some other questions from other colleagues, and we'll keep coming back to these questions. Senator Grogan.
Thank you. I might just continue on that line. I'm interested in how you communicated both with the government but also with your customers. And you did just say that people wouldn't expect the CEO to appear, yet you talk about leadership and supporting your customers. I note that the minister was out on radio at 7:30 broadly with no information, just providing reassurance that things were being done. Did you consider providing such reassurance earlier in the day?
Thank you, Senator. Our communication strategy is designed to empower our teams to be able to give that assurance on behalf of the company. We have a team, and any crisis management involves utilising that whole team. So whilst I personally hadn't gone out to do that, all our statements, which are in the appendix of our submission, all of them contain an apology and reassure people that we know that there's an outage and we're doing everything we can to restore that outage.
But from your full suite of staff, there was no other person that you could send out to provide assurances on a broader series of networks through the radio, TV, etc.? Because I'm concerned that you put a statement out. Obviously, that statement, your customers would not be able to access it, right?
Yes.
So the statement you provided was to everyone but your customers.
Thank you for that question.
And the media may well have been able to then reiterate that statement, but having a person from Optus go out, so I guess maybe put it to you this way. Do you have a series of protocols for such a thing, for when a disaster like this happens, where you have no comms with your customers? Do you have a protocol?
Yes, we do, Senator, and
Can you step us through it?
Thank you for the question, because I think it enables me to clarify that leveraging the media to get the message out is part of our protocol and our strategy. So issuing statements to the media from an Optus spokesperson that they can reiterate to reassure customers, that is part of our protocol and the way that we use the media to make sure that our customers know what's going on. So I thank all those media broadcasters in the morning for covering the story. That was part of what gave us reassurance that our customers were getting the message. So that's not incidental or accidental. That is actually part of our communications plan to leverage the media.
So,
Sorry, Senator Grogan, can I just jump in for a second? But what people were saying was that they weren't hearing from you. They weren't hearing from you. That is what was being reported. That is not reassuring to the community at all.
Chair, can I continue?
Yes.